We have some major news right now. According to the New York Times, the Trump administration is considering a radical overhaul of the refugee system to prioritize white people. Yes, I'm serious. The New York Times report shows that the U.S. refugee system essentially would slash the program to its bare bones, giving preference to English speakers, white South Africans, and Europeans who specifically oppose migration. Some of the proposals have actually already gone into effect, according to the Times, while others are still kind of in the works to transform the United States refugee system. Now, this is a system that in a lot of ways has been completely run to a halt in recent months, ever since the Trump administration took office back in January. But now they're kind of doing the quiet thing out loud and working to prioritize white people over anyone else for coming into the United States to earn refugee status here in the United States of America. This is significant news that people need to know about. So as always, spread the word. Full updates on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along to stay up to date on all the news that you need to know about. More to come soon.
Trump is planning on making it easier for white, far-right immigrants to skip the line and receive refugee status. All this while he is considering canceling applications for people who have waited for asylum for decades. These are people who oppose mass migration, people who show support for populist parties like the AfD in Germany, which is a far-right neo-Nazi party. And all of this to discourage diversity, which they believe hurts American society. Historically, our refugee system has worked to serve people who are most vulnerable trying to seek asylum in our country. We've welcomed people who have fled hostile conditions, people from Vietnam, from Cambodia, from Syria, from Afghanistan. Now many of these refugees are our doctors, our nurses, our Uber drivers, our construction workers, even our elected representatives. These are people who are working to build a thriving American society. And this diversity makes us strong as a society united around shared values: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. These are three guiding values that people have gone through unimaginable journeys for and come to seek in America. While this change doesn't affect people who aren't refugees, it still affects us. It affects the country that we're going to live in. I want to be in a country that shares my values, a country that can be a beacon of hope and freedom for people who need it the most. So I'm letting my representatives know to stand against Trump's new refugee policy. And if you want to join me, feel free to follow this link.
So Donald Trump just created a refugee program that basically prioritizes white South Africans over every other group of refugees in the world. And I'm not exaggerating, because he literally signed an executive order cutting U.S. aid to South Africa and opening refugee spots for Afrikaners, a white minority group claiming persecution under land reform. The first group was 59 South Africans flown here this year in May. Now, please keep in mind, during this same time, Donald Trump slashed refugee admissions overall. He cut it down to about 7,500 people total, and the majority of those slots are going to white South Africans. So, yeah, you can tell me that it's not racial favoritism, but it is. Even the Episcopal Church refused to help resettle them because they said it's unfair and violates basic moral consistency. South Africa's own government said this whole white genocide claim is bullshit. They said there's no systemic persecution happening, that this is all just politics. But Donald Trump's out here giving them preferential treatment, while refugees from war zones, famine, and persecution, overwhelmingly black, brown, or Muslim, are being denied. And it's not like this is new, guys. This man has a track record that is fucking longer than Route 66 when it comes to the race. This is the same guy who called African nations shithole countries, the same guy who has tried to ban Muslims from entering the U.S., the same guy who said that there were very fine people on both sides during the Nazis marching in Charlottesville, and now he is literally rewriting refugee policy to favor white immigrants. I'm sorry, but you can't have this many examples and still say, oh, you're just looking at it wrong. No, we're looking at it exactly right. This is who he is. When every single decision ends up benefiting white people while punishing everyone else, that's not coincidence, guys. That is ideology. And honestly, if you still think this man isn't racist, I don't really know what kind of mountain of evidence it's going to take. Because this refugee program isn't about compassion. It's about creating a political narrative that white people are the real victims. That's the America he wants. And that's not leadership. That's white nationalism with a flag draped around it.
Trump's proposed overhaul to the refugee system will prioritize white people. No, I'm not kidding. Trump's new refugee overhaul would cut admissions from 125,000 to 7,500. That's a 94% drop. And guess who gets priority in that tiny percent? White South Africans, Afrikaners. Meanwhile, families fleeing genocide, war, famine, which are mostly black, brown, and Muslim, will be shut out. And now they're calling it a value-based, assimilation-based system. And they're going to favor people, and I quote, who speak English, understand American history, and fit our culture. Let's be very real. This is coded language for white, Christian, and Western. And when they say protect our borders, it's not about security, it's not about safety, it's about selection. When they say American values, it's about whiteness. And when they say refugees must assimilate, they mean don't look too different. This is not new. America has always had a racial hierarchy, deciding who it welcomes. In the 1930s, Jewish people were turned away at the borders. Black Caribbean migrants were over-policed and denied asylum. Latinx families put in cages, Muslims banned, and now white refugees prioritized. So when we have said that everything is about race, we were not exaggerating, because everything is about race. And race has always decided who gets saved, who gets welcomed in, who gets silenced, and who gets sent back. This refugee reform is racial engineering dressed up like patriotism and American values. And if you look away now, history will remember those who were silent, just like the last time America chose whiteness over its humanity. So for those of you who keep asking why we make everything about race, it's because it is.
The population in South Africa is 90% black, but black people in South Africa only own 4% of privately owned land in the entire country. But somehow Trump is convinced that these 59 white South African refugees deserve to be housed and fed on the taxpayer dollar in the United States because they were being discriminated against in their home country. It makes me so fucking sick to see that in the same week that a 16-year-old girl had her face slammed into the concrete by ICE because she was brought here as a minor into the United States by her parents, that our taxpayer dollars are simultaneously being spent on an expedited refugee process for white people in South Africa, where they only make up 10% of the population, but they own 96% of the fucking land. Are you kidding me? And their justification is that they believe that white people are being genocided in South Africa. So all of a sudden they have a problem with genocide. Meanwhile, the United States is literally funding a genocide in the West Bank. And for the record, that's not even happening in South Africa. It's been disproven and debunked multiple times. And it's just Elon Musk spreading right-wing bullshit, white supremacist bullshit, as usual. That's all this is. It's just white supremacist bullshit all over again. I'm so tired.
So Trump is overhauling the refugee system like he's in the works. He's going to put preference towards English speakers, South Africans, and Europeans. He wants people to take this American history test and become familiar with social norms. So he's more focused on people that assimilate into American culture. And you can thank people like Ilhan Omar, so disrespectful towards America, saying her country first. That's who she's for, her country first. So why would he want to have more people like that in this country that put their people before Americans, right? And this is going to impact those hundreds of thousands of refugees applications that's in the pipeline. Yeah, they're probably done with. If they're not from an English speaking country, or if they don't align with American values, it's probably done with. And to all these black immigrants, don't listen to these black Americans telling you we're all black, the cops treat us all the same. What about ICE though? What about ICE? See, I went through this, but if I wanted to, I could say I could disrespect the Trump administration. I could disrespect this country, America. No one's going to revoke my visa. Where they're going to remove me to and from? Like, it's not going to happen. But you can't do that because you're a guest in this country. So yeah, y'all need to be on y'all best behavior because, like Trump stated that he's focusing on English speakers. Liberia might have a chance of American wannabes. Yeah, their capital is named Monrovia. That's named after an American president. So they may have a chance. Don't let these black Americans trick you out your spot talking about we all black. But it's different types of blacks, man. Not all chocolate is the same.
Breaking news, the Trump administration is now looking into completely overhauling the foreign refugee acceptance policy. to prioritize white refugees. This is not even a joke. This is not an exaggeration. They're looking into implementing a new policy that would prioritize Europeans who oppose migration, English-speaking refugees, and, no joke, white South Africans. You can't even make this shit up. They are literally blatantly saying that they are trying to prioritize white people when it comes to accepting them as foreign refugees. So, follow for more updates. Stay tuned. Have a great day, everybody.
A Trump official was asked a pretty straightforward question. Why are the white South African immigrants, the Dutch-descended Afrikaners, why are they being prioritized as refugees, despite owning almost all the land in South Africa, despite having an unemployment rate less than 1/3 that of black South Africans? Why is that group now being treated as refugees who need to be protected, when other groups like Afghans fleeing actual war and Taliban rule are being turned away? Or Central American asylum seekers are being turned away? And the answer we got from the Deputy Secretary of State, who said one of the criteria is we want those coming here to be easily assimilated into our country. What does that mean? What is that code for? It's not about language. It's not about skills. It's about being white. That's what they're referring to. Listen to this.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to know, there are many, from the BBC, there are many people who fit the criteria of seeking help, who are fleeing persecution. Afghans, for example, I mean, they live in a country run by the Taliban, but they're being denied refugee status. So I'm wondering, why has such an exception been made for the Afrikaners, especially when the South African government says they're not in danger? And are you going to open up the refugee settlement program for others?
Thank you for that question. I think you may recall that on the president's first day in office, on January 20th of this year, he issued an executive order that paused U.S. refugee programs that had been going at record levels under the prior administration and had brought in people that we were not sure had been carefully vetted for national security issues, and put a pause on the refugee admission program in general. That pause, of course, was subject from the very beginning to exceptions where it was determined that this would be in the interest of the United States. Some of the criteria are making sure that refugees did not pose any challenge to our national security and that they could be assimilated easily into our country. So the president on February 7th issued an executive order about the egregious conditions in South Africa.
Yeah. So you get the picture. You can see what this is really about. You know, Afghans who fought alongside U.S. troops were promised refuge. Now they're sitting in visa limbo, many denied, many deported. And meanwhile, the Afrikaners, a group that still holds most of the wealth and land in post-apartheid South Africa, they are being flown into the United States on chartered U.S.-funded flights because they fit in a little bit better. This is not subtle.
Welcome back. I'm so sad at this because it's not even a very good, it's not a very good news at all. The more we keep talking about racism in America, it's not going. It's alive and well. It's living, it's breathing, it's coming up alive by the day. What does he mean by to become a refugee now? In America, you must be black, you must be white. And to crown it all, they're giving priority to the white South Africans. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so crazy right now. Like, let it just make sense to me. I feel this is going to affect Africans, right? More than any other group of people, because the needed requirements to even be a refugee right now in America is a lot. You have to know their culture, you have to be able to speak English, and then you have to be white. That's a lot. I am shocked. What do you guys think about all this in the comments? Please let me hear. Are you in support of this? I know a lot of people actually like what he's doing, but let me know from you. Are you comfortable with this? Do you like the fact that he's doing this? If you like it, let me see it in the comment. Do not forget to subscribe, like, share this video. My name is Blessing on Global Just with BJ. I'll see you next time. Bye.